So today, we're going to get into something I think a lot of us feel deep down, the psychology of hyper-awareness. You know, that feeling that your brain is constantly scanning, analyzing every little thing around you. If that sounds familiar, then you know just how exhausting it can be. Let's talk about why that is.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Does your brain have an off switch? Are you the person who's always running these little hidden calculations for every single interaction, every pause in a conversation, every tiny shift in someone's tone? Yeah. If you get that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, picture this. You're having a real, genuine, belly laugh with a friend. And then, out of nowhere, this other voice in your head cuts in. Wait, why am I laughing this hard? Is this just some kind of coping mechanism? And just like that, the moment's gone. Poof! You've just analyzed a good thing to death. So what is this feeling, really? Let's dive into our first section here. Are you too aware? Because trust me, this experience goes way, way beyond just simple anxiety.
See, being hyper-aware isn't just about feeling anxious. It's more like having a second browser tab quietly running in the background of your mind all the time. It's not loud, but man, is it draining your emotional battery all day long.
What happens is you stop being a participant in your own life, and you kind of become its engineer. While everyone else is just living in the moment, you're on the sidelines, taking notes, analyzing every gesture, every tone, trying to piece together the blueprint of what's happening, just so you can feel safe. Okay, so where does this intense vigilance even come from? In our next section, Survivor or Censor, we're going to look at the two main places this usually starts, and understanding this can be a huge step in letting go of any self-blame. You know, this trait usually stems from one of two places. For some, you might have just been born this way. You're a highly sensitive person, or HSP, with a nervous system that basically processes the world in stunning high definition. Or you might have learned it. Hypervigilance is often a survival skill, something you developed in an unpredictable childhood where you had to pay close attention to everything to stay safe.
And for those who learned it, this is so important. If you grew up having to memorize the sound of tires in the driveway to know if a parent was in a good mood or a bad one, or measuring the exact level of anger in a slammed cabinet door, well, your brain learned to scan for danger constantly. The thing is, the original threat might be long gone, but your nervous system, it never got the memo.
Here's a great way to think about it. Your internal smoke detector was calibrated for a 5-alarm fire, and it worked perfectly. It kept you safe. But now it goes off every single time you make toast. The alarm is just way too sensitive for your current, safer reality.
Okay, so we've got the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. What's actually going on inside your head on a neurological level when your brain is stuck on overdrive? Well, there are a few key brain systems that are basically working overtime. You've got metacognition, that's thinking about your own thinking, which pulls you right out of the moment. Your default mode network, which is supposed to be for rest, instead traps you in this endless marathon of self-reflection. Your mirror neurons are so amped up that you don't just see someone else's pain, you literally absorb it. And then there's interoception, which, is a big one.
Let's just focus on interoception for a second. This is basically your brain's ability to read your body's internal signals. But when it gets hijacked by this hyper-awareness, it starts misinterpreting the data. So that slightly faster heartbeat you get from a cup of coffee, your brain doesn't just go, "Oh, caffeine." No, it screams danger and floods your body with stress hormones.
And all of this leads us to a really powerful, and let's be honest, frustrating turning point. I call it the awareness paradox. This is where we get to the absolute hardest truth about being this observant.
And it's this: awareness is not accuracy. Just because you notice every little thing, that doesn't automatically mean your interpretation of it is right.
In fact, when your awareness isn't balanced with some genuine curiosity, it just becomes a very sophisticated form of assumption. You can build an entire story, a whole narrative, around a coworker's tone of voice, live in that stressful story for days, and be completely, totally wrong.
And here is the great paradox. You can have all the self-knowledge in the world, right? You know your triggers, you know your attachment style, you know exactly why you're feeling anxious. But all that insight, it lives in your head. Meanwhile, your reactions, those gut-level, lightning-fast feelings, they still live in your body. And that disconnect, right there, that's the source of so much of the exhaustion.
Think about it. Your self-awareness didn't develop to be a tool for healing. It developed to keep you safe. It's a shield. But real healing requires putting the shield down, just for a bit, so your nervous system can finally actually feel safe.
So what on earth do we do with this?
We can't just turn it off, right? This brings us to a whole new approach, softening the laser. This is all about reframing your awareness, not trying to get rid of it.
But first, we have to be real about the cost. This level of awareness, it strips away your relational innocence. You start to see the backstage of human behavior, that sometimes kindness is transactional, or apologies can be tools. When you feel like you can see the strings on everything, it becomes incredibly hard to just trust what people say.
So the new approach isn't about getting rid of the light, it's about changing its quality. The goal is to shift your awareness from being this harsh, analytical laser beam that exposes every single flaw in yourself and everyone else, and turn it into a warm candle that just gently illuminates our shared, messy human fragility.
And that brings us to our final section, living a lighter life. How do we actually put this into practice? How do we start to unburden ourselves?
First and foremost, I really need you to hear this. You are not broken. Your wiring is just extra sensitive. The goal isn't to fix yourself. The goal is simply to stop trying to carry the weight of every single thing you see. You can observe something without having to pick it up and carry it with you.
And that means learning to set some boundaries with your own mind. Gently remind yourself that not every silence is some secret hidden message about you. A slow text reply can genuinely just mean someone is tired or busy. That little flutter in your chest isn't always a 5-alarm emergency. And, crucially, not every single brilliant insights you have needs to be said out loud or acted on.
Because this is the ultimate goal. The endgame here isn't to understand everything perfectly or to predict every single outcome. It's not about trying to outsmart disappointment. It's just about feeling safe enough in your own skin to let life happen, to participate, to be present, and to finally let yourself rest.